Hi, welcome to How We Met. I'm Sheryl Strich, and every month I get to interview two couples who tell their story about how they met. The first couple today are John and Edie Edmondson. When she first came here, Edie volunteered in the library. She then became a gate ambassador where she's worked for the past 15 years, always at gate 12, and recently she can also be seen at gate 11. John is a member of Old Pros and is in the Screen Actors Guild. The latest show that he's been in is Shakespeare's Women, which he just performed for the Old Pros a month ago. He's worked here with Barbara Rush in Driving Miss Daisy and Sunset Boulevard. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. You know, I prepped you before. We always have 3 questions that we ask. So the first question is, where are you from?
You mean originally?
Originally.
Okay, well, John, would you like to talk first?
Oh, I will if you want me to. I'm a native Californian. I was born in East LA and raised in Long Beach, and have lived in California in numerous other places all my life.
Okay, Edie?
And I was a child in New York, Brooklyn, and my parents decided to move to California, and we lived in the Valley. And then I lived all over. I lived in Westwood when I went to UCLA to take classes. And I worked in Santa Monica, so we had an apartment in Santa Monica. And then we moved to San Jose. And then we moved to Yosemite National Park area, where we raised our children.
Okay. And then you moved here.
And then we moved here.
Okay. Next question is, how long have you been a couple?
We have been a couple for 56 years.
57 years.
Well, leave it to the guy.
57 happy years.
57. Well, up and down, like most marriages.
Okay, and how long have you been in Laguna Woods?
Since 2010, I think.
Okay. I know, but I want everybody to know. What brought you here?
My mother used to be on the board of Laguna Woods when the community center was over where San Sebastian is, in that shopping center with CVS.
Okay.
And she served there. She was Leisure World Woman of the Month, did some really wonderful volunteer work, and was rewarded for it. And then I used to come and visit her, and we got knowledge of Laguna Woods and found it a great place to retire. When she died, we inherited her unit, and we weren't ready to move in yet. We were still too young. So we waited, we rented it, and then we came down.
You know what? I inherited my mother's unit, and I moved in. Okay, let's get started. How'd you meet?
Go ahead.
Okay, we had a mutual friend who was a fencer, which is something my wife does.
What is it, John?
Yes, fencing. And I was in a play at East Los Angeles, and this girl, who's her friend, lived in the apartment across from me, and she was in the play. She was a townsperson,
Okay.
and I was the lead. The play was the play that
Our Town?
everybody does, Our Town, yeah. And we met, and she told me, "Hey, I have the girl for you." And she said the same thing to her, and she introduced us, and the rest is history.
She introduced you. Did you all, the 3 of you, get together, or how did that work?
I used to room with her. We lived in the Hollywood Hills.
Yeah.
We fenced together, and she was a sculptor. She's an artist. She had an interesting life. Her father was Secretary of Labor under Batista, and when Castro took over, they were fleeing Cuba, and they came to the United States. And so she had kind of a storied growing up.
Right.
And I met her at the fencing studio,
Okay.
and we decided to room together. And we would wake up in the night and talk, like most young women do. And I would tell her something, and she would say, you know, my friend John thinks just exactly like that. You guys could be soulmates. And she kept saying that over and over again for about 6 months. And then one night she woke up and she said, this is it. I'm taking you to meet him. And that's how we met.
Where'd she take you?
He lived in Long Beach
So
at that point.
So you met in a restaurant?
No, at his
We
house.
actually, my parents were gone
Ooh.
at the, yeah, woo. They were gone. They
There were
like,
3 of us.
and she just brought me over to the house, and we sat there and talked all evening.
How nice. Okay. So then the evening ended, and you went home with your roommate, and then how long did it take you to call Edie?
Probably the next day. I think I got in touch with her pretty quickly.
Did you expect that?
Not really. Actually, it was kind of cold the first time I met him. He was very aloof. And
Were you acting then?
No, just in college.
Okay.
Just in college.
Okay.
but he took a napkin from a coffee shop and wrote me a letter. And on that letter, he handed it to our mutual friend, and she delivered it to me. And he said he wanted to see me again. And so I was intrigued by the letter. It was so different than the person I had met. I said, okay, I'll go for it.
So where did you go?
Where did we go?
We went to a coffee shop, I think.
Yeah, some kind of a,
Okay, so the first date was a coffee shop. Did you
Yeah.
Yeah.
move up after that? Did you?
yeah, we started to go to movies
Okay.
and do everything that young people do when they go places. Yeah.
Okay.
It happened pretty fast.
And then how soon did you get married?
Now that was
That didn't
a
happen
little-
fast.
no, because I was, I still wasn't finished with school,
Okay.
and I really didn't know exactly what
Wait,
I
you were at Long
wanted
Beach,
to.
Long Beach
At
State?
the time, I had just graduated from East LA City,
Okay.
and I was going to Plano Valley State College, which
Okay.
is now Cal State University, Northridge.
Okay.
And I had 2 years to do that. So anyway, I pushed it back at least 2 years, and finally one day my mother just said to me, "Hey, are you going to get off your butt and marry this girl?" And I said, "Yeah, I guess so, Mom. I guess I am." And when I graduated, we got married.
So that was 4 years later?
2 years.
2 years.
2 years
2
later.
years.
Were you a little anxious for this to happen?
Well, yes.
Yes, she was.
I think I got to the point where I gave him an ultimatum.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
I think that's right. Yes, she did. Yeah.
we had a separation for about a month where I told him I didn't want to see him anymore. If he wasn't going to go somewhere with this, I didn't want to waste my life.
How old were you?
24.
Oh, okay.
We were 24, both of us.
And that did it.
I'm glad it did.
And I guess his mother did it too.
Yeah, she did it too. Yeah.
Thank
I
God
got
for
along
mothers.
really well with his mother.
Okay, so then you stayed in Los Angeles. Okay, and had your first son, your first child?
We had our first child in Santa Monica. We stayed in the valley for the first year or so. And then we moved to Santa Monica because she worked at the RAND Corporation, which was right down the street.
And you were trying to get into,
And I was in Screen Actors Guild, and I was running around doing stuff and
Driving
trying-
cab.
and driving cab.
To try to
and
make a
driving my
career.
cab to auditions
Oh.
and things like that. And
You were
putting
driving
all
your cab.
kinds of unpaid miles on them and having to answer questions about how come you got so many unpaid miles, Edmiston, on your cab, and I, fabricate something and let it go. But yeah, that's what was happening then.
And you worked for Rand Corporation.
I was a librarian's assistant at Rand Corporation.
Okay.
With a bunch of researchers during the Vietnam War. So it was a really interesting time to be in a think tank.
Right, right. And you told me about
Daniel Ellsberg.
Daniel Ellsberg.
Yeah.
I worked
Right.
there when Daniel Ellsberg stole the Pentagon Papers, yes.
how exciting. And I asked you, when you told me about it, I asked you how you let him do that.
Well, actually, he wrote the papers. He wrote the Pentagon Papers for McNamara and Johnson to show the world that we were winning in Vietnam because it was very contentious at that point,
Right.
and the public was wanting to get out of Vietnam.
Right.
And I guess Ellsberg went in with an open mind and came out a dove.
But he was asked, but he still had to write that we were winning.
Yes,
Okay.
they wanted him to present a paper that showed that we were winning in Vietnam.
Okay.
And of course we were not.
Right.
And I think that's what made Johnson decide not to run again, because
Oh.
it was coming out
Right.
pretty clearly
Right.
that we were not winning.
Right, right.
So
And under your nose, he went in and stole the papers.
he stole, well,
Yeah,
he
just
took the
walk right
papers
through the
home in his
doors in front of
briefcase
her.
and published them with the New York Times. And
Right.
of course, because he had a clearance, that was against government rules,
Right.
and they prosecuted him.
Right, right, right.
And until Nixon became president, he was in jail. That's what cleared him.
Wow. And you were still trying to get acting
Still
jobs.
trying,
And you
yeah.
were working with the government.
And
And you had 2 children or one?
One.
One. Okay.
we,
Our son.
he wasn't even 1 year old, and we both mutually decided, I decided more than she did, that let's get out of here,
Right.
because I'm not going to be an actor. If we're going to raise a family, that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
And we left and celebrated my son's first birthday in San Jose, where we
Okay.
bought a house,
Okay.
which was probably the best thing I ever did, because it was right at when
Silicon Valley.
yeah,
was
Silicon
coming.
Valley
Right.
was just beginning.
Right.
And I took a job with a food company,
Right.
bought a house, and that house appreciated 3 or 4 times its value during the short
As real
time
estate does.
Right.
we were there. And that's so that was just.
Isn't it great when you make a great investment?
It is, particularly when you didn't do it on
Right.
purpose.
Right.
It was
Yeah,
accidental.
we were really scared when we bought our first house.
Oh.
We thought, oh my God, we're spending all this money. And
Right.
You're not alone in that. And then you moved to Yosemite.
National Park.
National Park.
Well, a
Near
little
there.
place called Mariposa,
Right.
where my parents
Right.
lived.
Right.
Yeah, they had built a house up there.
So you raised your kids up there.
Yep.
We did,
Right.
we
Right.
did.
And you had, can I say what kind of business you had there?
I had a donut shop and bakery.
And I have to
Coffee
tell
shop.
people that John knows the best donut stores here.
If I give somebody information about donut shops, yeah, I do. Yeah.
All right, so then you moved down here, which is, which is great for us. I'm happy that you're here. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
You bet.
I learned a whole lot about you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have Sharon Rosen and Mark Hochberg in the studio. They're both in Old Pros, Theater Guild, All Musicians Club, Jazz Club, Saddle Club, Broadway Lovers Club, along with the Village String Band. Mark plays piano with the Woods Combo and occasionally fills in with other bands. Sharon is in the Publishing Club. She plays banjo and/or guitar with the Feisty Women and Salt Creek. She made a point of telling me that they both don't play pickleball. So welcome, Sharon and Mark.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for coming on.
Just doesn't sure if being non-pickleball players would disqualify us.
Well, occasionally we have non-pickleball players. Actually, my first couple, they don't play pickleball. So anyway, welcome. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And let me get started.
Okay.
Where are you from?
You want to start?
Well, we're both native Southern Californians.
Okay.
I think we went to the same, we're born in the same hospital too, right?
But several years apart, yes.
several years apart.
Not that much.
Three is
Cedar
several.
Lemons Hospital, Hollywood. When I was very little, I lived in Boyle Heights till about 5 years old. And then we moved to El Sereno and then eventually Alhambra in the San Gabriel Valley. And I played piano since 5 years old. My parents said, when we get a house, we moved to El Sereno, we finally got an old beat up piano. They thought I had some talent, so they started on the piano. And I went to Alhambra High School, East LA College, Cal State LA. Most of my work in the past was for the LA City Recreation Parks Department.
Okay.
And I worked there almost 30 years. And I had an aunt and uncle, my mom's brother and sister-in-law.
Wait.
Too much.
We'll get to.
Oh, all right.
We'll get to.
To get him
there.
started.
I see that. And Sharon, where are you from?
Also a native Californian, as Mark told you, born in Hollywood.
Of course.
Of course. When I was born, my family also lived in the San Gabriel Valley. Then we moved to Culver City, which is where I grew up. Went to Culver City High School, and then West LA College, which I could walk to, and then transferred to Cal State Northridge, where I got a degree in theater, because that was very helpful in life.
Okay. How long, and I know the answer to this because I was there, how long have you been a couple? A couple, not married.
Actually, a couple.
7 or 8 years.
No, I haven't lived here that long.
Yeah, it's
Just seems like 8 years.
2016.
I moved here at the end of 2016. We met very shortly thereafter in the Sunshine Performance Club. Mark was
Whoa,
accompanying.
we're not there yet.
Okay.
We're not there yet. Okay.
So we've actually been a couple, I would say, about 6.5 years, because we met about 7 years ago.
Okay. And then how long have you lived in Laguna Woods?
I've lived in Laguna Woods about 11 years.
Okay.
And I've lived here just about 7.5 years.
Okay. All right. Now we can get started.
All right. Okay.
How did you meet?
We have different stories about that.
Oh, well.
Okay.
But you tell your story.
Okay.
I think it's more
Well, we
accurate.
can hear both
Yes,
stories. We have time.
Well, he thinks that it was some enchanted evening when he was playing piano for a show.
Okay.
And it was not. He was in the dark. I saw there was a piano player and people were using karaoke tracks, and I thought, why?
Okay. Excuse me, Mark. Tell your version right now.
All right. I thought she had met me when I was playing the piano for the show and was in the dark, and I thought she saw me and said, he looks interesting.
He was in the dark. I
But
didn't see him.
we were both performing with Sunshine's
Okay,
group.
all right.
Yes.
At that time, there weren't too many other bands or musical things, especially when I moved here.
Okay.
There wasn't much of anything.
Okay.
I was lucky. I went to TGIF one day, and before it was remodeled, they had a piano in the entrance. So I
Right.
sat down afterwards, started playing the piano. People gathered around, and Sunshine and her husband David were there, and they said, "Can you play this?" I said, "Yeah." And can you play? So eventually, I got to start playing with her shows.
Okay. Sharon.
Okay, so when I first moved here, and I thought, what am I going to do? Where am I going to go? What's going on here? In the Globe, I saw the Sunshine Performance Group, so I called, and she said to come in and audition. And Mark was the piano player, and what song, what key, he could do anything. And so I started to perform with the group, and we just kind of got to know each other from performing together, and just started hanging out together. You're going to that? I'm going to that. Let's go together.
Okay. And then, did you take Sharon out on a date?
The first time was like a date, and we went to the Sizzler. The Woods Combo was playing at Clubhouse 2. I think it's for an art show, was it? Well, in the back patio. And Sharon was there. And then was it afterwards or during an intermission? I guess it must have been afterwards, so we spent time.
Yeah, it
I
was
said,
afterwards.
"Would you like to go out and get something to eat?" Because I was hungry, and she looked like she was. So we had to, I thought the Sizzler was close by, and you can get the all-you-can-eat salad bar and all that
Okay,
stuff.
Sharon, was that your idea of a first date?
It was fine. Because it was unexpected.
Okay.
I didn't
know what to do
expect
for
it. I
that
didn't
first
know if he was interested, if he was not interested. I thought if he was interested, that'd be a nice thing. If he wasn't interested, okay. But yeah.
So, Mark, okay, you're the guy. What happened next?
we started seeing each other more. We went to different events in Laguna Woods. She hadn't been to
I
too.
asked you out next to go
Where
to,
was that?
when we went to hear Bruce's band over at the park and wherever that was, because I
Oh,
don't know
was
where
that
we were.
that? Was
At
that the next thing?
Yes.
Oh, I had a big hula hoop thing. I was doing
Yes.
that.
It was a friend of mine from the Valley, because I lived in the Valley for entirely too long of a time. His band was playing. I didn't know the area, so I have no idea where we were, but
Oh,
it
yeah,
was a
she
park.
had me
and it
carrying
was
all
really,
these heavy chairs, and we had such a long way to walk.
didn't want to go. I had to
Parked
talk him
way,
into it.
way far away. And then what am I getting myself into?
I know. And my friend said, is that your new boyfriend? I went, I don't know, I think so. I'm not sure.
So now this is the second time together. We're not calling anything a date quite yet.
Right.
Okay, and then Mark, what was your next move?
Well, we went to other things here. I think we went to the drum circle at that
Mm-hmm.
time, and
And just different dances, and I would bring food, I'd cook, or so.
yeah, I went to her house, got to know her dogs, which are our dogs now, and she came to my place. I went to your place more than you came to my place.
Yeah. Well, we went to your house if we needed to rehearse for something, because
Yeah.
I didn't have a piano.
Okay.
You made Elliot, my brother.
So Sharon, for everybody, Sharon and I were co-writers for Tales from the Woods. She was one of the actors. I was behind the scenes. You brought Mark on. You were a couple at that point, correct?
Yes, but at that time, Terry was still
Yes.
Terry Louise Fisher
Yes.
was still writing the show, and she wrote Mark's character and brought him in to
Okay.
begin with.
And you were a couple at that point?
We were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So then how soon after you met did you get married?
After, well, let's see, we met about 7 years ago, and we got married almost 4 years ago. Next month will be our 4th anniversary. So I guess that's 3 years.
We stretched it
Yeah.
out. We just did more activities.
Yeah, and I did not expect him to propose. It was not anything I was looking for. I mean, honestly, when I first moved here, my cousin lives in the village, and she said, I know you're going to meet somebody. I'm like, I don't know, I'm done. I'm not dating anymore. I don't want to take care of some sick old man. No, I'm done. So I didn't expect it. And when we started hanging out and kind of became a couple, I still didn't expect it. So I was very surprised when he proposed.
By the time we did Charlie Brown, we were pretty
Yeah.
Did
close
he
to-
propose? Did you propose during COVID?
I proposed.
No,
at
before that.
We went to Woodstock. I think it was 2019. That was
And it was
right
my
before-
birthday.
It was on your birthday. And we went outside. That year they had a lot of the bands playing inside doors.
Right.
But Sharon
And it
put
was
up a
especially
tent.
hot outside, so we'd never used the tent.
We went to her tent so we could get out of there just to visit for a while. And I had it planned. I didn't know what was going to be there in the tent. But then I looked at you and I said, I can't get down on my knees. And I don't think I can get backed up again. My knees were hurting. So I said, and then I was kind of fumbling what I was saying. And I said, will you, I showed you
I
the
just
ring.
started crying,
Gave you the
you know.
ring. And you went like,
'Cause I didn't
will you
expect
marry
it.
me? And did you think about how long did it take you to say
Well, I said yes right away.
Okay. So then she ran back in the clubhouse with her ring, and she was showing it off. She put it on Facebook. She showed her ring.
Well, here's the thing that when we tell people, everybody finds surprising. That neither of us was ever married before.
Yeah,
That's
that's,
right.
the big
Yeah,
thing.
so people are very surprised and go, oh, so you were divorced and you took your time? No, never married.
Right.
Told him he ruined my joke, because my joke has always been, it's not that I was never married, it's that I missed 3 divorces.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I was engaged 1988 for a short time, but I cut it off.
So was I. Oh.
Yes, yeah.
No, actually for me it was
At that time.
1990, but yeah.
I cut it off. I had problems with her parents, and I just didn't think it was a good situation, so I cut it out.
So better to end it before than
Yeah.
Skip the divorce.
skip the divorce. Skip the divorce.
You were in 3 maybes, or 3, what do you call it?
Well, one was only 12 days away from the wedding when I called it off. The other 2 were in discussion.
So if you decided to get married in 2019, why did you wait until 2020 to get married? And I know this because I was the only person at the wedding.
That's right. Well, and when we decided to get married, then we started to make plans, and we wanted to book the clubhouse, and we booked the clubhouse, and we wanted lots of time to get it planned right. and Mark had brain surgery.
It wasn't.
It was fine. He had a
cyst that
benign
they
cyst in
that
his
was
head.
in January 2020.
So we
Oh, that's right.
So we had to put it off, and while he was
Oh,
in the
that's
hospital,
right.
that's when COVID started rolling through.
Right.
So so we put it off a little further, and then COVID wasn't going away, and I said, "Oh, the hell with it, let's just get married."
Right.
And we could only bring one witness with us.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so Sheryl was our chauffeur, our flower girl, our witness, our videographer and photographer. What else? Oh, our maid of honor.
And the guest afterwards at the reception.
Yes, and the guest at the reception. Yes.
Right.
We tried having a wedding in one of the clubhouses, but we couldn't get
Everything
people
was
to go.
closed.
Everything was closed.
up.
And we were going to try to have a small wedding in the
Backyard.
We have a pretty big green area behind our place. We
Right.
were going to try to do that, and then too many people wanted to come because you couldn't have more than 20 people
Right,
outside.
Right.
Okay,
right,
forget that.
Right.
So there we are.
All right. Well, so changing topics for a second.
Yes.
I am extremely proud of you for writing a book.
Thank you.
Do you want to tell me anything about it? Because I haven't read it yet.
Why not? Okay, I wrote a novel. It's called Bathsheba's Harp, and it's a look at the different stories from the Hebrew Bible of women from before King David's era, from their perspective,
Right.
because most of the women in the Bible have either no name at all,
Right.
or they're mentioned in like 2 sentences.
Right.
And so I, using different background information, I just brought these out into full-fledged stories. So anybody who reads it, it is Bible-based fiction, which is kind of redundant, and but it's fun and it's sexy and it's feminist and the characters are good, and it's just Bathsheba. It ends up being a priestess of the Hebrew women. And it's through the gathering of the women that these stories are told. It's her story from her childhood up until Solomon is coronated, and then all the other stories combined.
Right. Oh, I will read it. I will read it.
Warning, lots of sex in this
Oh,
book.
lots of sex,
Lots
okay.
of sex in this book.
There'll be an audio version.
I mean,
too,
there's so many begats in there. You know, they had to come from somewhere.
Well, this is exciting.
Thank
I will definitely take a look at it and read it. And
Read it,
and
yes.
then ask you lots and lots of questions.
Okay.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for
you.
coming on. I didn't know the backstory. I only knew about the wedding. So, so thank you. This has been fun.
Thank
Welcome. It was
you.
fun. Sure.
If you'd like to come on to the show, email us at lwvcouples@gmail.com. Include your name, phone number, and email address, and brief description of your story.